Hello guys, welcome to this channel. I'm the creator, the author, the writer of this channel. I have written a bunch of the stories and I have recorded the stories, not receiving any views. So I'm changing the format just a little bit. Introducing myself really quick. I'm writing the stories almost as if I'm writing fairy tales for adults. So targeting all the modern encounters, romance, comedy, dramas, everything that you can think of, and I'll write it into your perspective, so you will experience the stories in the way of the main character receives the story. So I hope you enjoy the story. I hope to bring you the positivity and the motivation for your life, and hopefully you will enjoy the story and go to my channel to look up all the other stories that I have written and recorded. Feel free to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Help me to beat the algorithm and help me to succeed in this creative writing space. Now I'm gonna start reading the story that I had just written that's inspired by classical literature with a modern twist. So join me.
Have you ever experienced love? What is love to you? And how did love make you feel? Imagining being in a historical event with the effect that would last for centuries. Different people experiencing differently, hearing the stories of different loves and different memories. Let's dive in and be in love. Hello, fellow humans. This is Lots of Hope. Welcome to this episode of The Living Journey, where we escape and explore a life in an alternate universe. Thank you for your support. Now, let's decompress. Dinner party. Receiving a very special delivery of a delicately packaged dinner party invitation. It was kind of a shock. Confused about the whole thing. In the middle of the night, on the rare hour that you couldn't sleep, getting up to get a glass of water, hearing your doorbell ring, you walked to the door suspiciously. Getting close to the door, peeking through the peephole, seeing a suited man, wearing dark sunglasses, standing straight, holding a box, awaiting for your response. After a while, realizing that you are not going to respond, he opened his mouth and called your name, saying, I know you are waiting on the other side of the door. I'm here to deliver this invitation to you. You don't have to arrange the transportation. We will pick you up. As he turned around and walked away, you walked to the window, moving the curtains just a little bit. Seeing the man walking down the stairs, maintaining the composure throughout, but he tripped on the last step. Seeing him comically looking around to ensure that his awkward moment was never seen. Then he fastened his steps and disappeared into the darkness. Making sure that you are safe and no one is around your door, you opened up the door, taking the package, opened up the blue ribbon closure, seeing a simple but elegant thick cardstock printed with the date, your name, and the other guests' names, and an extremely desirable Italian restaurant. Reading the date, you just got a meeting cancelled, maybe just a couple of hours ago. In the guest list, besides you, a scandalous couturier, a famous movie star, a respected philosopher who teaches in the college, and hosted by a playwright who just won an award for his infamous new show. Oh, the restaurant. Talk about the restaurant. You were rejected for a reservation for the second time, and you had sworn that you weren't going to try again. Exactly what you said was, I wouldn't go even if they paid me. But now, you are salivating over their signature, steaming, fragrant, juicy lasagna. On the night of the dinner event, you put on your go-to formal attire, pin the brooch on your chest, since you were going to the dinner with a fashion designer. Sitting on the couch, waiting for your promised ride, looking at the clock on the wall, calculating the travel time from your apartment to the restaurant, you realized the time had passed. Thinking that you were pranked, you got out your phone, lazily slouched into the soft, comfortable chair, and were ready to scroll away on the social media apps. But when the time written on the invitation hit, you opened your eyes in the restaurant. The hostess gently woke you up and told you the table is ready and your company had been seated. Don't know where your phone is. You were told that you didn't bring it with you. But you needed not worry. It will be there when you are back to your living room. On the way to the table, you walked by an ancient looking clock on the wall of the dining hall, pointed to the promised dinner time. To your intimate table at the center of the grand dining hall, under the largest crystal chandelier that you had ever seen. Your prominent guests welcomed you. The couturier first noticed your brooch, a delicate family heirloom, silver shaped as a vivid lion head, with polished black onyx as the eye. After responding to the compliment, the host, the playwright, thanked everyone for coming, learning that you were the only one that haven't been invited, and this would be your first time. But this would be the first time that everybody met each other. Not knowing who actually sent out the invitation, you shared the story about the mysterious man in the black suit who accidentally tumbled and almost fell. And the playwright told you that the same man once got trapped in his apartment elevator, since the elevator required a card key to activate. And as all the wonderful food arrived, you had broken the ice with everyone under the grand crystal light installation in the middle of the room. The vibe and the conversation turned extremely intimate. Being asked about how the playwright came out with his award-winning play script, he said it was inspired by love. The playwright didn't experience the love himself, but it was a coincidence that he learned about the story. During a vacation to an island nation, the playwright met a young mechanic who fixed his motorbike. He overheard the mechanic's call with the girlfriend while the mechanic was operating on the bike. The playwright said they met each other when they were kids. As the girl moved to the boy's neighborhood, the boy saw the anxiety of the girl of being in a new environment, not knowing anyone but her own family, She had to pretend to be comfortable with the change to prevent her family from worrying. The boy walked up to her not long after, asking her to be friends. Growing up in the countryside, with acres and acres of farmland, each day, life was free and peaceful. Biking through the vast land, with the wind blowing through the land, took all the stress from school away from the world. I can see their sweet connections being so wonderful, and the effort of working hard to save up, to jumpstart a life together back in their hometown is so beautiful. The fashion designer was touched, took a puff of the cigarette, and humorously asked, if they were so in love but were so far apart, how were they gonna have sex? As everyone laughed, the playwright said, they don't when they were apart, and you can only imagine how crazy they will go each time they see each other when they are finally on their breaks. With a short smile, the playwright continued, they had saved up so much money. It should be enough for them to jumpstart their life in the near future. I would hope all the luck to them, because the love they had was the most pure and innocent that I had ever seen. I was so jealous. When I got home, I began to write the play so I can have a piece of the beauty that they shared together. Following the playwright, the movie star volunteered to share the most unforgettable love. We met on a set in a back lot. I was too bored staying in the trailer by myself, so I walked around in my costume. I dressed as a classical European vampire. You were so very sexy in that look. The fashion designer winked at the movie star, then looked at you, feeling the red wine that went down your throat so smoothly, and now it's hitting your head gradually. You smiled and looked at the movie star. Smiling back at you, the movie star continued. I saw him in a suit, hair slicked back, looking so very handsome. That was the first time I met him in person. It was funny. I had wanted to speak to him for so long, but somehow, every social occasion that we both attended, one would always arrive early, and one would always arrive late. Oh, you had just missed each other again, was one of the sentences that I heard most about him. Then people would tell me how nice he was in person and how much we would love each other. So I stood there by their director and waited until he finished to come and chat with the director. Seeing him in a good mood, walking towards me with a smile, it was so perfect. Imagining a handsome and properly styled man walking towards you from a literal movie set, wouldn't your heart melt? The movie star shrugged the shoulders. I was obsessed. I couldn't tell you more about how things went, or how we started to talk even. But the conversation was nice. Seeing him, I couldn't help but smile. And seeing me, he couldn't help but smile. I didn't know what I was doing. Now the playwright chimed in. Come on, you always know what you are doing. Then winked at the movie store. For the record, I really didn't know I was in love. The movie star continued. I didn't even know when or how we walked to my trailer, but I knew if I opened the door and invited him in, we would kiss. I'm sure you did more than just kiss. You took a sip of the incredible red wine, washing down the fragrance from the most amazing marinara sauce in the world. We had sex, broke my chair, cuddled, and fell in love. The movie star quickly concluded. Gasping loudly, you felt the drunkenness got a hold of you. Hearing the juicy gossip, you almost slammed the table. Then you realized that the movie star is now married, but not to the person in the story. You opened your eyes widely. But you're not married to him. What happened? They were both dating somebody else. The playwright had heard of the details and said, the guy broke up with his then fiancée, but our movie star here married to the damn boyfriend. Did your boyfriend, husband know? Oddly, you looked at the philosopher while asking the juicy detail of the scandalous story. The movie star took a sip of the beautiful red wine and said, nope, that was the end of my greatest love. I still think about that day, even until today, and nobody knows. So keep all of your lips tight. You all made a promise not to tell the story to anyone. And the fashion designer took over and started her story. As you all might know, I wasn't the most fortunate girl when I was a kid. I was dropped off in the orphanage and grew up there. Life was bitter but steady. I had been loved by the nuns, and the sisters took care of me like no one would. In fact, I seriously thought about joining them when I was 18. But I didn't believe in the religion, so I left the place where I call home for 13 years. With almost just pennies in my pocket in the city, I had done all the jobs that you can think of: maid, factory, and even secretary. Oh, I have no idea how I got the job. I didn't even know how to type. Laughing with a cigarette between her fingers, and everyone laughed with her, knowing that she was suggesting something sexual. It certainly was difficult mentally, since I grew up with the most conservative woman in the world. But the love that I felt, the amount of support that I felt, it was amazing. There was no way that I would depart from it. Learning about wines, fine food, and then style, I had my childhood love and romance love fulfilled at the same time. When I suggested making handbags, I thought I would have been left out of the dining room by his friends. But almost all of them expressed their interest. Later on, when I was older, I realized their interest were more than just about my handbag adventures. He stopped all the chances of me getting hurt and humiliated, and gave me a chance to start my own business. He financed me and gave me connections to more of his friends, even though that pissed his wife off. The philosopher nodded his head, didn't speak, but looked at the couturier with a bit of jealousy. After sipping more wine, the fashion designer carried on. At first, the business wasn't doing so well. Everywhere that I took my handbags to, everybody rejected. Nobody wanted to carry my name. Later on, I learned that his wife and her friends talked to all the department stores not to do business with me. But also, because of that, I had to explore new ways to sell. Before all the hopes were put out, using my last bit of funds, I hired young models from clubs and schools to carry my handbags on the fashion avenue from young photographers who were willing to work for almost nothing to take photos of the girls. Like the last party before the night ends, having so much fun, one of the daring girls even stopped traffic, pulled a businessman out of his limousine, and kissed the poor guy on the lips, with my handbags on the shoulders. The photographers perfectly captured the image, and we escaped before the police arrived, and I assumed the traffic resumed. So did my business. All of a sudden, without going through the regular channels, I sold all of my inventories and got tons of more orders that I could never expect. Wasn't that guy the governor? Not sure who said it, since you were too busy stuffing your face with the delicious lasagna. Hearing the unexpected details, you almost choked. Yes, and my business took off, she announced with pride. So, what happened to your love? The playwright asked. And the movie star followed up. Are you still with him? Took a cigarette break. The fashion designer continued. Oh, he is still in my social circle. We are still friends. But my love had grown into an international empire. Everyone who knows about fashion knows my name. The movie star, laughing loudly, while leaning the body onto the designer's shoulder, onto her exquisite tweed blazer. You couldn't help but clapping and cheering for the fashion designer, accidentally hitting the table and splashing a bit of pasta sauce onto your outfit. Wiping off most of the sauce, you touched the silver brooch, and it reminded you the story of your grandparents. So you started the story. I'm probably too young to talk about love, but I do wish to find love like my grandparents had. It was a classic wartime story. My grandpa left for the war right after getting married to my grandma. They took a photo in the photography studio, only able to afford one photo. He carried the photo with him to the war and promised that he would come back to her. My grandma told me that they consummated their love the night before his deployment, feeling the fear that he would never return, and she would have never felt the touch of love ever in her life. With time moving on, she stopped receiving letters from him, and it was unfortunate. When she was hungry and broke, she found out that she was pregnant. With no one to depend on, she had to hide the secret of her pregnancy and continue to work in the factory. I didn't know how she survived, but with the help of her friends from the factory, she safely gave birth, stopped expecting my grandpa to return. She moved on with her emotions and worked hard to raise the twins. I think it was with the government's gratuity for the military dependents that she could raise the kids. She realized that her love not only married her for love, but also for the possibility of him not returning, and she would be taken care of. Unexpectedly, the designer clutched her pearls and gasped. A tear rolled down from her cheek, and she asked, "Did he ever come back?" You nodded your head, flipped the lion brooch over, revealing the marriage photo that was stained by the war. You explained, when the war ended, he returned with the captured soldiers. Although he had a hard time, he was always in great spirits, kind and gentle. I didn't have any memories of him being mad, nor have I ever seen my grandma being sad. With just a bit of hesitation, the philosopher said, I had many, many loves in my life. I almost don't know which one to start with. The most disreputable one, of course. Everyone joked. But then someone followed with one that you think is perfect. Well, it's hard to find a perfect love. If it's perfect, then we will have nothing to long for. There is always imperfection that makes the longing so craving and desirable. After all, the imperfection is the most important ingredient for a perfect story. With the whole crowd dropped into silence, and you were about to reveal the philosophical statement, a voice from your new friend broke the silence. Oh, enough with your deep thoughts. Who are you still thinking about today? My wife, the philosopher calmly said. We now have 3 sons, and thankfully, they are growing healthy. I had given up on the social norms since I was young, did and had never expected to have children of my own until I met her. What about her that attracted you? You asked. Her vibrance, her demeanor, and timing. The philosopher stopped, then continued. Timing is everything, if not the most important aspect of everything. If the young mechanic wasn't ready to commit to his childhood sweetheart, if it wasn't you missing your handsome dream over and over again, you wouldn't find the love that you had being so explosive. If it wasn't the timing, you might not have encountered the most powerful experience that made you still think about it till today. If it wasn't the right timing, your fashion photo wouldn't be as dramatic and memorable as scandalous and revolutionary. And your grandparents' love. The philosopher again stopped, leaving you all in silence, thinking about love. Suddenly, a loud voice pierced through the banquet hall. Arriving under the giant fractured light, a drunken, gorgeous young man, holding a bottle of liquor, walked towards your table in the silenced restaurant. With no jacket on, and the white shirt being soaked by sweat and spilled drink, showing a muscular physique with blushed cheeks. The young man stood next to the philosopher, leaned his body on the philosopher's chair to keep his balance, and told a story about him and the philosopher. That was just another academic conference that he took me to. Seeing him glowing with knowledge on the stage, I couldn't help but feel so drawn to him. After the conference, we left the convention center quickly, visited museums, and he showered me with his love. Taking a huge gulp of liquor, he continued, "Oh, I thought about this so much, feeling so very flattered and in love. But all my gestures didn't lend him to show me more of his actions. So, back on campus, I invited him to my practices, taking off my shirt even, sweating under the sun. It didn't make him make another move besides inviting me onto another of his academic trips. Feeling awkward, embarrassed, as people had stopped their conversations to listen to this juicy gossip, like watching a horror movie that you cannot stop your fingers from parting before your eyes, revealing a peek of the movie to just enjoy the taste of the excitement. You covered your mouth while both chewing the delicious food and the luscious tidbits. Yet nothing happened? The playwright and the fashion designer both asked. The young man nodded his head, closed his eyes, and passed out from his drunken words, spilling the last drop of liquor onto the plushy carpet of the restaurant. After the restaurant staff carried away the man, drunken by love, the dinner continued. It was a great meal, like you had ever imagined before, totally worth the agonizing reservations. The next day morning, you woke up in your own bed. Back in your apartment, you sat up with a slight headache, wondering if it was all just a dream. But the slight stain on your outfit next to your silver lion hair brooch proved that your dream did come true. It was one of the most beautiful, fun, and thoughtful nights, not to mention that you received a special delivery only a couple days later. From the designer, a new outfit for you to wear, replacing your stained outfit to accompany your alluring brooch. That's all for this episode of The Living Journey. I truly am grateful for your time. Feel free to leave your reviews. Please like, follow, or subscribe. Do share this show so we can grow together. Until next time, lots of hope, signing out.